right, we are almost at the end of this book.
Yep.
Yeah, we are getting there. So,
Oh man.
yeah, I don't know how this reading was for you. How was this week?
So I think we had a quicker turnaround.
Yeah, very quick. Yeah.
than normal, but there wasn't as many chapters as I think when we started reading towards the beginning. But the reading was cool. There's a lot of things again that I saw take place that didn't happen in the book, but it was a good reading.
It is like the reason that we had so many at the beginning is because I was trying to like, okay, in episode 1 this happened, I'm going to match it with the series, and then in the middle things kind of deviate quite a bit. We're sort of getting back into the show now with these last few episodes, chapter readings. But yeah,
are we getting back into the show?
I mean, there's some stuff.
The only reason I say that is because it's like, none of this happened in the show.
Well, no, some of this did, but yeah. Some of this did, but the beginning feels much more tight to the books than it gets as we move further on. But
for sure.
Okay, I don't know. If you're ready to just jump into it then?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. So we begin, of course, with chapter 43. It is called Decisions and Apparitions. And the chapter icon is the dragon's fang, which we have seen quite a bit. Loyal explains the history of the ways and why they are not an ideal travel option. Maureen points out that they really don't have any other option, and so they make preparations to go. That night, Rand has yet another freaky Balsamon dream. And this one has like the tiny sculptures of the 3 boys. And he realizes in this dream that Balsamon doesn't know which one of the boys he's looking for. He just knows it's one of you 3. And that's it. That's pretty much what happens in this chapter. We've got Todd's drawing for this one, which is from Rand's dream of Rand just falling down a whirlpool with die.
Yeah. I remember that one. In your summary, I know you said he doesn't know which of the boys is which yet.
Yeah.
But as we talk about this chapter, I think he's starting to do the process of elimination though now.
Yeah, I think
he's starting to do the process of elimination.
Figuring it out a little bit.
But I feel him.
What cracks me up in this one, it's terrible, but it's also Matt, don't touch things. Like even in his dream, he touches his sculpture.
This brother is sticky finger times 5.
He has no impulse control. He's like a little kid. I just want to touch it. Like
you would think he would learn after having this dark attachment to this dagger that he has to kind of live with now, that maybe I should just kind of let things be. But nah, I don't know what this man wants. Maybe he wants the full suit of armor along with the dagger to go with it too. I don't know.
Maybe that's what it is. So now, like, because he wakes up like the Dark One knows my face. The way he described that dream, like I don't want to influence your thoughts on this. So I don't know. What do you think about all the dreams before I say my thoughts on the dreams?
The dreams are. It's funny because Bahausamon is treating the 3 kind of how Moraine is treating the 3. Meaning I'm going to give y'all a similar treatment until I find out which one of you actually is. However, I would say Moraine kind of has a step up on him because she's kind of seen Perrin's situation.
Yeah.
And I think now she's still in between Matt and Ren potentially.
She probably is, yeah.
But Bahausamon, I think it's funny because I think now he has Matt eliminated.
Yeah, maybe.
And it's between Rand and Perrin, potentially.
Yeah, because, Matt picked up his sculpture. What I was about to say about the dreams, and again, I find reading the dream sequences, they just go on forever. They go on for a really long time. And so my mind kind of wanders. But I think Robert Jordan he describes dreams, the feeling of a dream so well, that it actually feels like it meanders in a way that a dream meanders, but it feels accurate. And the way Matt describes how he can feel the hand holding him in that, it's creepy. It's creepy.
Now, one thing I will say though is it's funny that you said the dreams go on a long time because that was actually a subject matter of this chapter.
Yeah.
Because Rand and Matt was like, this just happened in seconds. And Rand's like, you guys been asleep for like 4 hours. What are you talking about? It's time to go.
It's true.
It's funny that you mentioned timed as a as a point in that. But yeah, the way he kind of navigates through storytelling of dreams and also just that feeling, aside from the fact that I have yet to have a dream, I think, to where the things that happen in a dream physically happen to me in real life. Speaking of, a splinter, for example, but you know what I'm saying?
That is really, really, it's a creepy aspect of what's going on. I'm, again, just looking at the chat we've got here. Matt touches hot stoves. Matt, don't touch the red button. Matt still eats crayons. Like, it's just, Matt, come on, Matt. Stop it. They're all wool-headed sheep herders, yes. But, okay, what did you, like, we don't get a lot of Loyal's explanation in the show. Now, I like Brother Book, he's got all this information. He gives a very, very long explanation of what the ways are that we don't get in the show. What did you think about all of that?
I really like that a lot because from my basic understanding, the ways of the Waygate is pretty much like a portal where time is different. But it's funny seeing that because even in Loyal's description of things, he had mentioned that it was built for, the Ogiers.
Yeah.
But he also speaks about how no Ogier in centuries that he knows of or in a long time has gone through it or should go through it. And he's very stern about going through it. And it's almost like he had to be reminded of the magnitude of the situation, I think, by Moraine to even get him to do it, because at first he was a hard stop. He was a hard no on that. Yeah. But actually, it's funny that he was a hard no, because at the same time, I feel like he's a big soft no, because he is kind of like a big softie. So like he sounded mean when he said no, but it's like, okay, you're going to say yes eventually. You are Brother Book.
Yeah. I also feel like he's a hard no, but I would love to research it.
That's a fact.
Exactly. Exactly who he is. And it is interesting hearing him tell this story, because one of the things about the Ogier is that they live so much longer. So their memories of things in the past feel closer. So he talks about the male Aes Sedai. Like he doesn't trip over that word, which I think most people in this time would trip over talking about the concept of male Aes Sedai. But he's like, the Aes Sedai, the men, like, because that's normal. So it's interesting to think about. In the past, there were male Aes Sedai just walking around like the women too.
That's true.
Yeah.
And actually one thing where he did start to trip, but he got encouragement, is when he started to tell the story and he was unsure of what side of Aes Sedai Moraine was on.
Yes.
And then she gave him that, it's okay, I'm more on the positive side of your story. And then he kind of had the confidence to go ahead and kind of tell that story.
Yeah.
Which was pretty neat to see, because as old as he is, it's almost because of maybe their lifespan, he is comparatively the same age as Matt, Rand, and them.
Yeah.
And within the time span of both of their different, beings, I guess I'd say.
True. Yeah, it is true. I was going to ask you, what do you think? Like this, I mean, it's all a hypothetical. I mean, everything's hypothetical. This is a fictional story. But the concept that, like, the male Aes Sedai, when they were going mad and literally, like, it's not a turn of phrase, they were literally breaking the planet. They were causing earthquakes and volcanoes and stuff. Some of the male Aes Sedai did take refuge in the steading for a time.
Yeah.
Do you think that, like Moraine says that her faction of the Aes Sedai think that was good, because if all the male Aes Sedai had gone crazy at the same time, life would have ended. And others think, no, it just made it last longer, which made it worse. Which side do you think you're on there?
I obviously see the cons on both sides. I won't even say the pros. I see the cons on both sides, meaning that the men were, yielding power that they were just out of control with.
Yeah.
And also the fact that any guy who ever had the power, you didn't get the same opportunity that Nynaeve or Egwene got to try to help you tame or understand your power. It was immediately, we're going to gentle you.
Yeah.
Especially if a red Aes Sedai kind of caught that.
Yeah.
Now, because the one power really can't be accessed in the steading like that, it feels like it was the best possible solution for guys to somewhat keep their sanity, but not be too problematic to the world. But at the same time, as women Aes Sedai who have encountered a lot of destructive men, I can understand their anger and their aggression towards just going ahead and stopping it right there, stopping it where it begins. So yeah, it was interesting seeing that, because it's almost like the Ogier kind of like stayed out of it, even though they were in their territory. In a sense. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, they offered refuge, but the Ogier are kind of apart because they're not human. Like they're somehow in the world, but they are not. Sorry, I had a Bible verse in my head. They're in the world, but not of the world.
In the world, but not of it. There we go.
Yes. we got a lot of the same history going on.
Let me find out. Brother Book, he got the brother part because he was in the church preaching.
Exactly. So.
First Steadings, chapter 5, verse 6.
yes.
Now, never mind. No, they wouldn't have Bibles there because they would be destroying the trees. They would probably have a fit if they made.
Yes, he gets real angry about the destroying of trees.
Oh, I just thought about something. Brother Book is a contradiction. How you love books so much and that's destroying trees to make the paper? Oh, Robert Jordan, you got to think through. You got to think through those gears now, man.
Well, I don't know that they're like anti like cutting down. I think they're anti just wanton destruction of trees, not just like trees for a purpose. But there's some stuff you'll learn as the story goes on. But yes.
Okay.
Another note that I put in here just because I thought it was funny. Egwene, like when she's hearing about, because they've just come back together, so they're Egwene and Rand are discussing, what's happened while they're separate, and Elaine comes up and Gwen's like, who's Elaine? And he's the daughter of Andor, and she's like, well, if you're not gonna tell me, like.
Yeah, that was like, and I wrote that down in the notes too. A few things. It was like sometimes within relationships, like you'll say how you feel. I'll also say the guy versus girl. You'll say how you feel about something, but the girl will not take you seriously, or your significant other will not take you. It's like, no, I'm telling you the truth, but they try to read into it a little bit more. So I guess in her sense, she was thinking like, all right, yeah, right. You talked to Megan good. Okay, funny. You know what I'm saying? I guess it might have been one of those comparisons. But I mean, Rand, he tried to be honest, and which is going to be funny because once we enter into the ways, there's another conversation which I thought was even more hilarious, and we'll talk about that later on. It's like she immediately went to defense mode when she heard that there potentially was another woman that she don't even know what extent he had a relationship with, but just a mention of it was interesting. And on my side of things, it's like, yo, y'all just got back together. Enjoy each other's company. Like, it's so short-lived before the jealousy just creeps in. Y'all ain't got to worry about the taint. Y'all need to worry about the jealousy that's going to get y'all.
Exactly. It's true. I understand her perspective though. Like they've been separated for 3 weeks. Imagine coming back and be like, yeah, no, who'd you meet? Oh, I met the princess. Like I met, what's it? Meghan Markle. Like that's the girl that I was flirting with. Like what? No, never mind. Just don't lie to me. There's no point.
So it makes sense. I would be more prone to like if Matt says something like that to be like, all right, bro. Yeah, I don't believe you. But Rand, he hasn't, although he does like kind of joke around and have a good time from time to time, he doesn't like lie joke though. Yeah. Except for when it comes to Moraine. Now, when it comes to Moraine, there's some things that they don't fully tell the truth about. But when it comes to Egwene, for the most part, it seems like he'll either hold his tongue or, just speak how he feels. But there is one thing I did want to mention though, a few things. On the quiz the other day, you asked me to guess what color Aes Sedai I thought Elida was. Yeah. And I told you black Aes Sedai. You was like, there's not, you was like, it is a thing, but that's not who Elida was. Well, no, seemingly,
I didn't say that. I just said that, it's not, nobody would be openly black Aes Sedai. Like nobody.
Got you, my fault. There you go. And and I brought that up to say, I understood what that means now when I heard Bahausaman speak about. Yes. There are some Aes Sedai that work for me. They are the black Aes Sedai. So and he also said something along the lines of like, there may even be some people that you would now that are on my side or whatever the case may be. And that was, it was not surprising, but it was interesting to know, I guess that is and correct me if I'm wrong, that is the identity of Aes Sedai who work with the Dark One is black Aes Sedai?
Yeah, well, we call they're Black Aja. But
Black
it's
Aja.
like their secret, yeah. So they would be whatever other color. So they'd be like blue Aja, but secretly black Aja. And
Which makes that, I mean, that color makes sense if you're working with the dark one.
yeah,
you know.
exactly.
I highly doubt they would be lime green, Aja. You know what I'm saying?
That'd be a bit too showy. A bit too showy. But okay, speaking of Balsamon, one of the things Balsamon says in that dream is that there have been times when the dragon served the Dark One.
Yes. Yes.
Do you believe him? Do you think that that's a true thing?
And again, Moraine and Bahausamon, it seems like there's two sides to the story. And I understand why both of them would not want you to believe the other side.
Yeah.
However, I'm just going to say, although I do not trust Moraine fully, I do not like Bahausamon's tone. I just hate his tone.
I don't think you're supposed to like him.
Yeah, no, for sure. But it's like, even if you are telling the truth, with all due respect, bump you. You know what I'm saying? Like, but he speaks so sternly about it that it's just so matter of fact. And he also does continue to hint on the reincarnation aspect of things.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, I don't know if I fully understand why Ren is mad, but if you're already a bad guy, I guess lying is not something you would feel too bad. I mean, there's not too many honorable bad guys. I don't even think that makes sense.
Yeah. But so, what was it that Moraine said he was called? There's the father of lies.
Father of lies. Yep. So father of lies.
He's got that title. So I don't know. I was just curious whether you like, because he says a lot of stuff. And I'm sure some of it, well, I mean, I know, but I'm just like, some of what he's saying might be true. Some of what he's saying might be a lie. And I don't know. I'm curious to know what you're thinking. And in this point, I'm curious to know what Rand is thinking. Like, does he think it's true?
So I feel like if they call him the father of lies, I feel like it would only be fair to call Aja the mother of truths that they're willing to tell. I feel like we need to have a fine line. You know what I'm saying? If he's the father of lies, and the reason I say that will come up in a few chapters, but there's a fine. I feel like if he has a nickname, y'all need to step into y'all's nickname and live in that nickname as well. So I'll just put it like that.
Yes. Oh, his nickname. Sorry, it's the father of lies. His nickname. That's what his friends call him.
If your friend, hold on. If your friends call you that, that's terrible.
Yes.
That's bad. If your friends calling you that.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just looking at my notes here. Okay, that's all I have for notes on this chapter. Do you have any other thoughts or?
Final thing for chapter 43 is I wonder that now, since Perrin has been identified as having the wolf's path, if him having dreams is going to just kind of be a thing of the past, because we saw Matt and Rand in this encounter have their dreams, but Perrin, I don't think, spoke upon he was involved in that particular situation. It's not like we always see them all having dreams at the same time. But that was just my final thought for chapter 43.
Yeah, it is because we did see when he was with the Tuathon, with the traveling people, that for a while he had no dreams because the wolves seemed to be protecting him. But then Balsamon was like, "Yeah, no, I caught you now. I figured out your trick." So
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, again, I say I don't know. I know, but
all right, you doo-doo.
My wounded
Brown
heart.
Aja, hold on. I'm not going. I gotta mess with you today because it's something that we're gonna discuss a little bit later. So I gotta give you a hard time today, just because you gave me a hard time. You'll understand what I mean as y'all listen along.
All right. It hurts me. One of these days you're gonna learn what the brown Aja does, and it's not. It's
and I'm gonna have
fun.
more respect for him. Okay.
I don't know if you'll have more respect for them now. I don't know.
Oh no! Snap! Never mind. Let me reserve
honestly,
my opinions. Then.
I'm not sure. You might. All right. So okay, let's go on then to the next chapter. It is chapter 44. It is called "The Dark Along the Ways." The chapter icon is the 3 leaves on a branch, and this this icon gets used in a lot of different contexts. In this particular context, I think it's because this is the trefoil leaf. It has the 3 bits on there, so it's like the key to the waygate. They head out before sunrise, with Loyal leading them toward the waygate. When they arrive at the gate, Moraine opens it using the key that I mentioned, and they enter. And it is very dark in there, with the darkness sort of eating up the light from their lanterns. Loyal finds the guiding stone and uses it to guide them towards their destination. And just as the ways start to feel a bit boring to Rand, they arrive at a bridge that has collapsed. And we have Todd's drawing here, which I love all of his drawings of Loyal. just
yeah,
it's so cute. So yeah. Anyway, okay. So what about this chapter?
This was a dope chapter. A lot of hidden passages. It was like Loyal was leading the way to the way.
yeah.
But it was really a dope chapter. And also, we hear a lot about Brother Book's encounters with people not being so pleasant. But we truly get to see that most people, it is a sight for them. And it kind of throws them off, which I do understand.
Yeah.
I guess I kind of get it. But because we get to have a more personal encounter with him, obviously my opinions are a lot different than if I were to just literally stumble upon this beast of a Beauty of the Beast looking type of dude.
Yes.
I'm
going to tell some horror stories here. It's not a horror story, but
okay.
I am a foreigner, and I am a black foreigner living in South Korea. Korea is an incredibly homogenous country, and I cannot tell you the amount of times that somebody's like opened the door to me, like I have just suddenly been in their presence and seen them jump, like, because they are not expecting to they're expecting to see a Korean, and then I'm there. I've literally had people like physically jump when they see me. So I can imagine seeing like someone who's like 10 foot tall and they've got these ears that move.
Yeah.
And I'm not that different from a Korean. I am still a human, but.
Yeah. So that's the difference though. So like what you said, like, and it may be because, I don't know, United States, you correct me if I'm wrong. Do you feel like the US is more diverse as far as the type of people you'll see than over in Korea?
Oh, Korea's like 95%. Like everybody is Korean. It's very much so.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense because like for me, I don't think me seeing any type of person would make me like, oh, throw me off, regardless of the setting. Now, what they have on or what they're wearing. Now, if somebody comes in, wearing a Captain Hook uniform or something like that.
Silver top, thigh high boots. Like
there we go. Yes. You know what I'm saying? You might get a double glance. But a beast is a different character, a different situation. And the way that they describe it is the fact that Loyal was riding on, which is poor horse. Lord have mercy. Somebody get that horse a raise. You know what I'm saying? Goodness gracious, Brother Book. As much love as I got for you, you wrong for that one. You know what I'm saying?
Well, he didn't
breaking
want
that horse
to do
back.
It. Like Moraine put him on that horse.
I wonder if Moraine gave that horse an extra dose of energy. That's something that they didn't show, but Moraine had to do that on Book.
Yeah.
But Brother Book is low down for that one. But as he's riding, you kind of see the guy like, hold on, those are people behind you. So you are way bigger than them. So it was funny seeing him kind of get startled. Yeah. I actually thought for a brief moment that their entire plan was going to get kind of ruined because of that. Because of that encounter. But it didn't hurt them that much, actually. Now,
this is one that I don't have very many questions about the content of what happens in this chapter, but I do want to ask you your thoughts on how, the way things were visualized in the show versus the books. Like in the show, the Waygate looks like what you see in Cambodia, like those Angkor Wat. Like the Waygate is a very different shape. Here, it's a door in a cellar that's like in the wall. So, what did you think about how they visualized it that way?
So the book is different. The book is different in multiple different ways, and I will say, not that I've done a lot of reading since I've been an adult as far as like fiction material. Yeah. But this book has a lot of traveling in it. Like there's a lot of traveling and getting things, and getting to places in certain ways, in different ways. But this is one of those things where I think I like the way that the portal looked in the show a lot more. Okay. Just from a visual perspective. Now, once we get into the actual, as we go into different scenarios, once we get into the way and once we get into the blight, there are things I like about how the book describes them more so than how I see them play out in the series.
Yeah. I like this. The Waygate was so different from the way it's described in the books. We all guessed because the images were released before the show came out. So all of us were like, oh, that's a Waygate. That doesn't look anything like a Waygate in the book because it's different. Because I'm not visual, it didn't really bother me because I was like, I didn't have anything in my head because that just is not how my brain works. But I know some people didn't like it because they liked the idea of it being something that was able to be hidden. Whereas in the show you're not hiding that. Like you're not hiding that at all.
For sure. And the way that it makes more sense is as we get in deep into chapters, they were like there was a gate that was close to Manetheren. And it's like, okay, everybody would know if this big old circular portal was sitting right outside the town. So in that context, I do like how we could potentially find other gates that are more hidden and ominous than some big old portal in the middle of a field. So that aspect of it I do like. The other thing about this journey is we get dialogue along the way, and it is also interesting from the fact of to go away from the ways a little bit in the portal. We keep on hearing these indications of Loyal's strength and how vast it is, but knowing him, he's not gonna easily get to that point. But it does, because I like action. And, brother Dre liked the little extra. It's I just want to see you use it one time. You know what I'm saying? Knock somebody out. So I am eager to see him use that strength that we hear so much about. But I think there was 2 examples. One time, Loyal was like, "Well, I could do it, but it would wake up the whole village or the whole town." It's like, okay, that's really loud. The whole town's gonna wake up. And then Moraine one time was like, "Yeah, don't bring the whole building down on top of us." And it's like, brother, what type of strength do you have? Yes. I'm not surprised, but what type of strength do you have?
Yeah. I did like in that, because he thought he could break a cellar gate, and she was like, actually, we don't need to ruin this man's house.
Yeah. Yeah. And he was fully confident that he could do that, which was the other thing. But going back to the ways in the gate and the hidden portal, I really do like the description and the way that the leaf key played out. That was really neat, which ties up right back into the chapter icon that you showed me.
Yeah.
So that was really cool to see. And I think they could have did something neat, magical and majestic wise with that. And that, I don't know if it would have trumped the wow factor of seeing that portal, but it would have been very neat to see.
I should have gotten it. I will get the image for the edit when we do this, but I'll also send it to you. There is we know, those of us who are super nerds into this show and into these books and saw, there is an image they released of Padan Fain, the actor playing Padan Fain, holding one of these leaves in his hand. It looks like a metal leaf. So it looks like they filmed a scene with that, but then it just didn't make the final cut of the show. So,
and you sure it wasn't a behind the scenes shot of him holding some medicinal type of leaf that they just happen to catch him and it's just giving the fan base a wow factor? Oh, he has the leaf. No, brother Padan Fain was getting lifted off set. That's what that was.
No, it's very clearly, but it might have been, but no.
I got you. I'm just messing with you.
And Kate is actually right here in the chat. And again, I'll put it in the final edit. When you actually watch Moraine do her weaving in the show, if you pay attention, she does the weave in the shape of the leaf.
Okay.
So they did incorporate, it is there it is in her weaving. And there is some sort of scene somewhere on the cutting room floor. Padan baked is now canon. Sorry.
Padan baked.
Yes. But there is some scene they filmed with Padan Fain using a leaf somehow with the Waygate. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, and then the visualization of the ways. This is one I actually was quite curious to see how they would do it on the show, because the way it is described in the books, it's just darkness. It's just, and it makes me feel almost cold when I read it. The idea of the way the light doesn't want to penetrate the dark, and I was very curious to know how they would show that on the show, because it's just darkness. And so what did you think about like reading the description versus what you saw in the show?
Two things. One, the impact of how dark it is hit me when they described that light only spread to about 10 feet. And I was like, goodness gracious.
Yeah.
That's crazy. The second thing is, when I visualized the show, that was cool. But I actually feel like another series did a better job of depicting what utter darkness looks like that they could have took some notes on.
Okay.
And that is Stranger Things.
Ah.
When Eleven goes into, you know, her little dream state or upside down state, and that darkness, that is like a pure dark. So I was actually envisioning that type of darkness when reading this description of things. I'll be curious to see what people think about that. But I do like the way things played out as far as the journey within there. There was one other thing about going into the ways that was a little bit confusing as well, because Brother Book was constantly stating how nobody that he's knows during his lifetime went through the ways and yada yada yada, and no man can go without the lead of Ogier and blase blase. But he does like state one time that he did see one Ogier, or he's only known like one Ogier that went through. And I was like, I thought you said you didn't see any Ogier that went through.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was a slip up or it was just like, you know, in the heat of me describing a lot of things to get you all not to go. Oh, well, there was one guy who made it.
Yeah, I'm not sure which, but yeah, you're right. He does do that. So, yeah, I don't know. I cannot speak to what's going on in Loyal's mind. But yeah, I'm just seeing in the discussion here, the behind the scenes for how they did the ways was pretty cool. They used these,
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, modular things so they could sort of change the shape of it as they were going. I find it like, I don't know. Because it's not my area of expertise. I was curious, like, how do you show a place that's incredibly dark without having it look like a theater piece, like where it's
I got you.
blackness? But you're right. Stranger Things does have, because I remember those scenes. Yeah,
they did a really good job, and I'm not trying to discredit what the show did. I think the show did a really good job of that too.
Yeah.
But just utter darkness, I think Stranger Things has the best depiction of how that looks on screen without it looking, like you said, theater-like or weird.
Yeah. That's all I have for this chapter. Do you have any further notes?
This was an interesting chapter, and finally getting to go in, and also obviously Matt is with the group as they enter the portal.
Yes,
so that is a different dynamic.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I did.
And obviously, this is one of those things where it is different from the series. But as we all know, well, for those who've watched the show, this is different from the series because there was something that went on with the actual actor, I think Barney, who was playing the character.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I do feel like the show would not have changed him going into the to the ways.
Yeah, I think that they had, like, you can even, you know, if you're watching carefully, you can kind of see that they were splicing things together to make that scene make sense, because that was when the pandemic break started. That took way, like, I think they was planning on filming for maybe 8-9 months, and it ended up taking about a year or a bit, because
I'm just curious to what you know, because I haven't done too much research. I mean, people in the comments have let me know a lot of things. Do you know exactly what went on with Barney and why he did not choose to continue as the character? I mean, I've read some speculation, but I guess I didn't know if it actually came out officially why he chose not to.
No, to be honest, like, I haven't actually looked into it, just because I feel like that's his, whatever, it's his life, and whatever choice he made. I do know that they took a break it was because of the pandemic, but it was like 6 or 8 months. Like, it was a long time, and he is not the only one. There's another actor in this show who, I don't want to tell you who he is because I don't want to pull him out.
Like a pivotal character, or just like a
the reason I don't want to tell you who it is because it's a character that will show up in future seasons, so I don't want you to be pulling anything out of that. But in that break, he had been in the show. He's actually in season 1, and they've changed his name because he got hired for another show while they were in that 6-month break. So anything.
So this brother was not following Taviran.
Yeah,
he just deviated from Taviran and started following T'Chek.
Yeah, because it was like it was a huge amount of time. So anything could have happened in Barney Harris's life in that time that made him just be like, I can't continue. Like, with this other actor, they got another job that would be more long term than this job.
Yeah.
So, like, it's Barney Harris isn't the only actor who had a different something happen in their life. So
makes sense. Now that makes sense. I'll just be curious to see when the series starts back up, how long it will take me to readjust to the new character, the new actor.
Yeah. I'm quite excited. I've said this before, and I'm sure people in the chat have heard me say this. I feel horrible about this, but because I knew before the show started that Barney Harris was only going to be in season 1, I did not get attached to him. So if people are talking about amazing acting, I know there are plenty of people, and when I look at it, if I try and take that out of my brain, I'd be like, yeah, no, he did a really good job. Like, I'm not. Yeah. But when I was watching him, my brain was just like, Jenny, don't get attached. So I never.
Interesting. I got you.
I just didn't get attached. So
makes sense.
I'm excited to get the new actor because then I can get attached and be like, all right, you're my Matt now. You're my Matt. So yes.
You're my dagger now.
Yeah. Yes. You're my stupid. What is it? Maureen called you stupid boy. You're my stupid.
That's funny
boy.
because I know you. I don't know if you watched Shadow Bone yet, but the way that Kerrigan's mother in Shadow Bone says "stupid boy," like the way he said it, it's like I'm like, what you say to me?
I have not watched that show.
It's not what you say it; it's how you say it.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
But what we on chapter 45 now?
Yeah, chapter 45. Okay, so chapter 45 is called "What Follows in Shadow," and the icon is the dragon's fang. Loyal finds another way to Faldara that will take a bit longer. They camp for the night, and in the morning over breakfast, Lan casually mentions that someone is following them, but doesn't seem to want to catch them. They finish eating, and they continue on their way, finding dead Trollocs that appear to have been, like, sucked into the ground. As they travel on, Rand begins to hear a wind, and Loyal realizes that it's the Black Wind. They race the rest of the way to the Faldara gate, but the key is gone. Moraine channels to cut open the gate, and it is plain that the taint in the ways has tainted even her channeling. They get out just in time to escape the horrors of the Black Wind. And we have Todd's artwork would be Moraine cutting open the gate. So she looks so adorable. This is such a horrifying moment, but she looks so adorable.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Lots of thoughts on this chapter. So this chapter to me was satisfying yet underwhelming at the same time. And I'm gonna go into why that is specifically. Yeah. It is let's just start from the jump. I guess as they go from bridge to bridge, they call those islands.
Yeah.
Is that what I'm getting? So that was an interesting description because I was trying to train my head not to think of little beaches within a dark sea of with coconut trees and things like that. Yeah. But I guess island would be the best way to describe
because there's like nothingness on the other side. Yeah.
Yeah, and even going to what you said, nothingness, when they were like that bridge is being held up by nothingness, or that being held up by nothing. So that was interesting. Then we get dropped, like I told you we were gonna have this conversation. I try to like Moraine a lot more than I do sometimes. I try I'm trying, y'all, and maybe some stuff will come up. And I don't dislike her. It's just like I'm watching you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I hear you. I got love for you. She makes you
nervous. Yeah.
Exactly. But this made me mad. And out of nowhere, Moraine is like, "Oh, Tom's not dead." And I'm like, why didn't you tell me that? Like, even if you didn't know, why didn't you tell me that when you first got the first inkling? And then I had to, make sure I didn't send Jenny some 10-page essay. Like, how dare you try to play with me and make it seem like what I knew was true wasn't true.
She said she doesn't think Tom is dead. She's not saying 100%. She doesn't think.
But she doesn't lie. So, but I don't think Tom's dead. So if Moraine don't think he's dead, then shoot, I feel a lot better. I feel a lot better. But it's like, why did you wait? Because you already knew everybody was kind of feeling bad about it. Why did you wait? Like, you do that sometimes. Why did you wait this long? Why did you hold this information this long? I don't understand.
She did this in the show, actually. I have a point in the show where I just like, Moraine, she loves drama, because there's a moment in the show where they're in like the hall of the tower in Tarvalon, or Tarvalon, I should say, and she's got Egwene there with her, and she's introducing her, like she's bringing Nynaeve in. Egwene, up until this point in the show, has thought that Nynaeve was dead, and Moraine knew that Nynaeve wasn't dead, and she waited to, like, in my headcanon is, it's like one of those talk show hosts who's like, reunion between you and your husband who's come back from war and stuff. Like, they could have had all this time together, but you, because you're a talk show host, you want to make the reunion on air. That's what it felt like.
For sure.
Moraine being like, no, I want to see the reunion, so I'm going to not tell Egwene.
And a lot of the times it's like mental manipulation. It's like, are you trying to see how mentally strong they are? But like, this is not one of those situations. Like, is my homie dead or not? You know what I'm saying? Or we already believe that he is. So the time frame, like, she kind of did something similar, although this was different circumstances. She did something similar with Nynaeve when it came to Perrin. Oh, he's good. He's alive. And it's like, but I understand that was different context. But I feel like this situation with Tom, she had that inkling for a while now.
Yes.
She just chose to just randomly say it here. Well, since everybody's probably more petrified about the darkness, let me say something that'll uplift their spirits that I've been holding on to for weeks.
Yes, like, what they need something. What do I got? What do I got? But in the show, that moment just was like, you've been with Egwene. You know that Egwene thinks more that Nynaeve is dead. You could have told her yesterday, but you didn't tell her yesterday. Oh, by the way, your friend's alive, because you were like. But no, they'll probably have a really emotional hug, and I want to see it. So I'm gonna. Yeah,
like when it comes to like Aes Sedai, gangs, secret words, stuff like that. That's fine. You don't gotta tell me that stuff. Sometimes we fraternities and sororities, or they can't tell you other people certain things. That's fine. You don't gotta tell me that. But the general information, I need to know. Yeah. And actually, I know we hopped straight into that one because that was fresh on my mind. It is very apparent.
Because you wanted to yell at me a little bit. I know.
The other thing that's very apparent is we did not make that stop in Tarvalon before going to the gate. Yeah. And I don't know what. There's certain things in the book. Now, there is a lot of comments when we first did the show on our channel about, oh, this is trash. You shouldn't watch this, or this is terrible, blah, yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to say I'm even remotely close to that. I'll even go a step further and say, had I not seen the show series, I don't even know if I would have read the book. That's, I mean, my introduction to it is just different. I mean, people get into things different ways.
Yeah.
But I don't know why they play with the storyline like that.
This is one of those ones I have thoughts on it, and I cannot tell you those thoughts because it's very spoilery. But I will just say that one of the things that the person like Rafe Judkins, who is the showrunner for the show, said is he is not adapting the book. He's adapting the story. And unlike shows like, for example, Game of Thrones, and I'm not going to say anything like, whatever your thoughts about Game of Thrones, but
I actually haven't seen Game of Thrones. I've only seen a few of House of Dragon, so House of the Dragon.
But the book series for Game of Thrones still isn't finished. So when they were adapting it, they kind of had to adapt it book by book because they didn't know the whole story. Whereas with the Wheel of Time, he knows the whole story, so he knows exactly where he's going. And if you know exactly where you're going, you don't necessarily have to take the same road. Like, you can take a little bit of a different road to get to the same destination, especially if you have to do it faster. Because 15 books versus, books versus a series, you can take a more direct route. And so that is what I will say. Like, there are times where I'm like, they've smoothed this around. I can see what he's doing. I can see what he's doing.
No, that makes sense. It's nothing that doesn't make me like it less or more. Nothing like that. Which is why I'm still a little bit curious as to why people who really like the book, some of them fall on the spectrum of really not liking the show. That's why but I see these examples and I'm like, is that it? But I know that's not. I know there's various different reasons.
There's different reasons. Some of them, I'm just going to put out, some of them have hated, like a lot of them were on that road of hating the show from the second that the Rafe was announced as the writer, because Rafe is a gay man, and they were like, oh, a gay man adapting the show, he's gonna be blah, like whatever. And then when the casting came out, it confirmed for them, oh, he's gonna make it all woke, because look at all those black people. Like, so even before the show came out, like before episode 1 came out, it was getting negative ratings, like on all these channels.
Before it even dropped.
Before it even dropped from a lot.
I got you.
There are people who legitimately don't like it, and legitimately not liking something, perfectly fine. If you don't like it, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But a lot of them went into it with those blinders of,
I got you. You giving the context of it like that, I understand it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But hopping back into chapter 45, there was a situation where it was funny to me because like some of the pettiness was starting to get on my nerves between like Egwene and Rand. And Parent was my dog with this one, man.
He was your dog. He was your dog.
My brother, man. It's like, because I think
a wolf boy.
I think it was men. I think they were talking about men, and it's like, oh, Rand, you talked to another, and Rand was like, come on, she looks like a dude. I'm not even whatever excuse he tried to put to her, and then Parent was like, I know you're not talking, and you was twerking on somebody at the. You was in the field twerking on some dude that you just met. He didn't say the words twerking, but
I mean,
but he's like, you was over there dancing.
Sexy dancing somehow.
Oh, never mind. So we're just gonna keep it at twerking then.
Yeah.
So you was on the field twerking, and it was funny because I was like, Parent, you a real one for that, man. Like you a real one for stopping the foolishness and killing Egwene's little. I don't know, and it could have been one of those little petty things that was like. Sometimes, in relationship, people play these little petty. She may or may not even been that serious about it, but I would be remiss to say I'm sure she was curious about what he's been up to.
I'm sure, yes.
But it was kind of like a hypocritical dig. It's like, well, are you only doing that because I'll put it like this? A lot of times, and I've seen this in real life as well. People who are doing something wrong or promiscuous are oftentimes more hard on their significant other, just because they're wondering if they're doing the same thing that they're doing, even if it may not be the case.
A cheater always suspects other people are cheating. Like, that's just the way it is. That's the way it is.
There we go.
Yes.
There we go.
Not that anybody here was cheating. Like, they're all like, what?
Oh, for sure. And for sure. But, it was more so the feeling of like the audacity that you would have to.
Yes.
And then, of course, Matt's
I was just about to bring it up. Matt,
ignorant behind.
What about
he
Elsie
tries to
Grindelwald?
do a counter and like, oh, but what about the girl on the farm? It's like, bro, like, and this is where it's different. Like, nothing happened on the farm, but the fact that you bringing this up to like make me look bad, it was, man, it was another one of those moments where I told you I would have been like, took Matt's dagger and just threw it in the darkness. Go get.
Just give him a little push, let him fall.
Go get.
One of my favorite moments from the show, like just because it cracked me up, when they were in the ways and Loyal starts talking, like Loyal mentions, oh yeah, if you fell off the edge here, you would just fall forever. But there are many worse ways to die, and Egwene is like, what are worse ways to die? And he starts to list them, and then somebody's like, Loyal. No, I want to hear Loyal's descriptions of horrible ways to die. It is common. His common voice.
I got a perfect one for you. They should revamp 1,000 Ways to Die and have Brother Book do it.
Yes. Or like, do you know? There's a song out there. It's "Dumb Ways to Die." 1,000 dumb ways to die.
I've heard that one.
Yeah, it's like a safety. It was actually written as a safety, like a PSA for I think Australia. But it's just a song about dumb ways to die, like if you're playing with a Black Widow spider or something like that. But anyway.
So and it's a win-win if Brother Book does 1,000 Ways to Die, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because like, unfortunately, these were based off true stories, right? So we know that these things actually occurred.
Yeah.
But sometimes the way that the person would speak on them, it was like, this is kind of insensitive. Yeah. It's a little. I'm not saying it's not funny, but it's insensitive. So if Brother Book was the voice of it, his soothing, caring voice would help alleviate that form of disrespect from the unsensitive standpoint. So that's why I said it's a win-win if Brother Book does 1,000 Ways to Die.
It would be so fun. One of the moments from one of your reactions that I love the most is one of the angriest I've ever seen Brandon, when somebody interrupted Brother Book when he was talking, Brandon was like, "No, don't
Man,
do that."
yeah. Was it at actually the place that we're about to get to?
Yeah,
Maybe?
I think it was when they were about to go in the ways, and Loyal was about to give an explanation of what the ways were, and Moraine was like, "Yeah, we're just going in. We're just going in."
That's a fact. That is a fact. But yeah, his knowledge is funny. And I know he means no harm by it.
No.
Another thing I want to touch on is I've spoke about how good the narration is by Rosamund Pike.
Yeah.
Now I gotta give credit to Robert Jordan. The description of things, it's like, not only is this a good story, you were just amazing at your craft.
Yeah.
And one of the lines that stuck out to me is when he said, "Wounds in the stone." Now I know that is a very basic thing, but it's like that is one of the best ways to describe something that has been through a rough time. But you get like, I would never say, "Man, those rocks look like they've had a hard life," or whatever the case may be. But when you hear those things, like, man, that is like, kudos to the chef for that type of description. And there's a lot of things that he does throughout the book that are like that. But that was one that just kind of reminded me, like, man, this guy is really talented with his wordplay.
Yeah. And speaking of his wordplay, the way that the Black Wind is described, like the things that the Black Wind wants to do. This is one of those things with the show. The show went in a very different direction here. And I think I know why the show did this, because, you know, a different medium. In the book, we can be in people's thoughts, whereas the show can't give us that. So the Black Wind in the show, I think, was a way for them to be like, here's what everybody's thinking. Here, we're going to show you what everybody's thinking at this time.
Makes sense.
But
makes sense.
I legitimately was nervous for how the show was going to do this, because I always find the things that the Black Wind says so, like, I literally get goosebumps every time. And Rosamund Pike, like, Michael Kramer reads this in the first book, and it creeps me out. And Rosamund Pike's did the same. Like, it just, to plait the skin, did the sweet blood. Like, it's just so.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's awful.
It's like that's evil. Like, there's evil. That's like evil.
Yeah.
For sure. Now, at the beginning of this segment of the chapters, I told you there were things I really liked and things that were like underwhelming. Now you spoke about it a little bit, and it was the Black Wind.
Yeah.
Remind me, in the series, we obviously did not see the Drakkar that appeared at the beginning of the show.
No.
We did not.
Yeah.
The beasts that were flying inside of the ways, was that Drakkar?
That was the Black Wind, like those.
That was the Black Wind type of.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I was curious about. Now, but going to that, we don't see anything. In the book, and that is so weird, because we're already reading a book and we don't see anything. So now that we literally don't see anything with the description, it's a double not seeing anything. So we're like double blind. So that's why I would say it was kind of underwhelming, because we obviously see the characters are utterly terrified and frustrated, but they don't even really know what they're frustrated about. Brother Book even gets into these spells like, "Oh, there, we gotta run." And it's like, what? You know what I'm saying? Now, you're just scaring all of us because of your stories that you told from a young boy and what you've experienced, but we don't really see anything. The only thing that we actually ever go through is what you mentioned, was the fact that there was somebody following them. But that was the least terrifying thing about the whole experience.
Yeah. And the Black Wind, like, I think that is part of their frustration. And I guess everybody's good, because Nynaeve was angry at this moment, because the Black Wind wasn't something. Like, it was just this sound that looked like it wanted to do the worst thing, or sounded like it wanted to do the worst things in the world to them. But like that, you know, because I think Moraine says something like, "Oh, that's the Black Wind," and Nynaeve's like, "But what is it? Like, tell me." Like, even a Trolloc, you can, as awful as it is, you can touch a Trolloc. Like, I don't know what that is.
For sure.
Like,
for sure.
It's just horrible.
And I actually had this conversation with friends the other day. And my theory is, and in this instance for the book, I'm not going to say it worked out, but since I've seen the show, I have an idea of visually what to expect from that. My biggest thing is, scary things are scarier when you don't see them. And I feel like that's what they were experiencing more so.
Yeah.
But me as
As a reader,
somebody
yeah.
who's getting it and digesting and reading it, I want to see. But I do think in real life though, and sometimes in movies, it is actually scarier when you don't know what it is. I don't care if it's the ugliest demon ever. It's just the unknown that is terrifying.
Because your mind fills it in with the worst possible thing.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
That is a fact.
And the other thing I just had in my notes here, well, no, I have two more things in my notes here. I'm just realizing. But you mentioned how like the Black Wind is just pure evil. I always thought that this was a very cool way for Robert Jordan to explain what the taint is, because it's the way Moraine describes it, like this could just be the taint manifested in its purest form, because the idea that like the male half of the magic system is tainted and it turns the men mad, that could be benign. Like not all mad people are evil, but the thing is it doesn't just turn them mad, it turns them mad with something that is evil. So their madness will always eventually, maybe not initially, but always eventually manifest itself in an evil way, because it is made of this same stuff that the Black Wind is made of, that just wants to kill and destroy. So no matter what, no matter how many times you talk about it, taint. Like taint. The world has ruined this word. Like
taint is definitely have a different
Yes. I forget when I'm talking about Wheel of Time. And then
But yeah, so that's why I said that there were good things, and there were things that is like within this chapter.
The only other thing that I noted here in my notes is Moraine throws away her staff. And I know you haven't been focusing so much on her staff because she doesn't really have one in the show. But in the book, like Moraine showing up as a magic user with a staff, as a person, I read these books right after having read Lord of the Rings. Like I read Lord of the Rings and really enjoyed it. And I asked for a recommendation and someone gave me Eye of the World. So for me, the magic user showing up in town with a big old staff, I was like, oh, that's Gandalf. Like that's who she is. And the book is very familiar. It has a lot of the same, not all of, but a lot of the same elements. And then in this moment when she throws away her staff, I always took it as, this is Robert Jordan going, you thought this was Lord of the Rings. Here, now it's not. Like it's a link to Lord of the Rings that she literally throws away.
Interesting, meaning that it doesn't have as much power as the LOTR. Other things probably depend. Okay, that's interesting. I actually feel like in the show, if she would have had the staff a lot more, it would have made her look more witch wizard like.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying certain people who don't like them within the book probably was you witch, or they probably wouldn't refer to them as that. But I think my mindset about her would probably be like, yeah, this is a witch. Not saying that she doesn't do witch-like things, but I think that would probably be more something that was on the forefront of my mind. But yeah,
the immediate connection there.
And as we go out, man, there was a movie, by Jordan Peele called Nope.
And
when I heard the lines, "Sing your screams," I was like, nope. I'm out of here. I don't want to hear no more of the lyrics she got in that song. That was my nope moment for that chapter. Sing your screams. Nah. Yeah. Man.
Like I said, I was legitimately scared for how the show is going to do that, because I am so auditory. Like that is my main way of experience. Like I can see. I'm not like visually impaired, but I get like when I'm watching, for example, Nope or any scary movie and things get scary, if I'm at home, I mute it. If I'm in the movie theater, I plug my ears. I don't close my eyes. I plug my ears. That's how much I'm an auditory person. So I was so nervous. I was like, what are they going to do with the sound design in this moment?
Man.
Like I wouldn't have been able to handle it. So, yeah.